I want to give you guys a bit of comparison. When I said that it's not the how to win at life, like I have it figured out, I want to suggest to you, I'm going to give you a couple of lives, and they're side by side. They provide a study in contrast. And I'm going to suggest that the latter example is one who actually did win at life and did have it figured out and stands before us as an example. The first, not so much. The first is Ty Cobb. And those of you who know me well know that this is it's a favorite story of mine. Ty Cobb, if you don't know, is a baseball Hall of Famer, immortal outfielder for the Detroit Tigers, who was a 12-time American League batting champion. Ty Cobb had set his sights when he was young on being the greatest player ever to play the game, the best hitter who ever lived. And his whole life was focused on achieving that goal. And as I said, he was a 12-time American League batting champion. He had 4,191 hits over the course of his career, a career that saw him hit a record 367. He was a member of the Hall of Fame class in 1936, where he was elected with 98.2% of the votes. He played 22 seasons with the Detroit Tigers and, by any estimation at the time, had achieved everything that he set out to do, except for wearing the microphone right. Everything that he wanted to do, he had done. But achieving that goal came at a price for Ty Cobb. He was so determined to make every at-bat count that if he failed to get on base, he'd come back to the dugout and throw a temper tantrum, the likes of which few of us have ever seen. He'd get a single, and he'd want to stretch it into a double, and do anything he had to make that happen. Ty Cobb used to sharpen his spikes to a razor point, and when he was coming into second base, he would slide spikes high and dig them into the leg of whichever shortstop or second baseman was foolish enough to try to cover. And he would slice the opposing player's leg so badly, it would serve as a warning. Next time, you won't be so dumb. Not just you, but all the other players on other teams in the league. Those 22 seasons were marked by that surly temperament, but also a keen sense of racism. This desire to put himself above others, cultivated in Ty Cobb as a young man, this sense of looking on others as the enemy. He says later in his life, "In legend, I am a sadistic, slashing, swashbuckling despot who waged war in the guise of sport." He was known to fight not only with the opposing players, but his own teammates as well. And not just the teammates, but the paying customers. There's a great story of one time Ty Cobb was being mocked from the stands. He couldn't stand it anymore. He jumps into the stands and starts pummeling the spectator. He punches him and punches him until he goes down, and he starts kicking him and kicking him. Now, this would be terrible under any circumstances, but it's made worse by the fact that the man was a World War I veteran who had lost both of his arms in battle. And Ty Cobb was wailing on him and stomping on him because he dared say a word against him. But sure enough, Ty Cobb, 12-time champ, 41-91, 367, got what he wanted. If you fast forward to the end of his life, 1961, there's a picture of a billboard in Royston, Georgia, where the Ty Cobb Museum is, and it says, "Welcome to Royston, home of baseball's immortal Ty Cobb." And in the upper corner of this billboard, you have a picture of a young Ty Cobb in his playing days, running furiously around third base with that determined look that says, "The catcher will dare not stand in my way." This young Ty Cobb stands in contrast to the old Ty Cobb, the man himself who was standing before the billboard. an old man with a hat off, waving meekly at the camera. Shortly before he died, Ty Cobb, reflecting on his life, said, "If I had it all to live over again, I'd do things differently. Next time, I'd have more friends." Ty Cobb died in July of 1961 at the age of 74, and it's said that at his funeral, the only ones in attendance were little leaguers who had never seen him play, but had heard the legend of the great Ty Cobb. No coaches, no former teammates. They couldn't stand him in life, and he gave them reason for that, and he died essentially alone. Ty Cobb got what he wanted, and in the end would have done things differently. The second life that I want to share with you this is going to be hard. The second life I want to share with you is a young guy named John Montanaro. Johnny was a member of the Providence College class of 2013 and from North Kingstown, Rhode Island. John was one of the greatest legends that I've ever known. Thousands of students I've had a chance to meet. Some I get to know very well. But maybe none like John Montanaro. John was born in August of 1991 and was sick his whole life. At 11 weeks old, he became the youngest person ever to have a liver transplant in Pittsburgh. John was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2005 at the age of 13. And John is one of those guys who, upon hearing this diagnosis, which God keep from us and from our family members and those we love, that diagnosis that changes one's life definitively. But he's one of those guys, upon hearing that, sets out and lives a truly heroic life. John's dream was to come to Providence College, and when he graduated with honors from North Kingstown High, he came here in the fall of 2009, achieving the goal that he had set out long ago to attain, to be a member of the Providence College community. Now, John came, he was fighting cancer. And his life would come to an end in the spring of his sophomore year. And he hadn't had a chance to even make it back to campus for classes for sophomore year at all. He made it through freshman year, and then the disease started punching away at him. And he was in and out of the hospital, back and forth to his home, and passed away on April 26th of 2011. Now, somehow, John Montanaro found a way to change hundreds and hundreds, thousands of lives. Just a little guy. A little guy who would go person by person, dorm room by dorm room, teacher by teacher, student by student, friend by friend, and bring hope and inspiration and courage and God to all of these people. And while it's been 4 years since he passed away, his life continues to go on, and his example continues to stand before those of us who knew him. And when I saw that stupid poster, How to Win at Life, a lot of what I learned about how to win at life, even though I stink at trying to actually get it done, I learned from this kid. I learned from this kid who was a member of the Providence College community. When John passed away, the funeral was extraordinary. The wake was huge. There's a line, one of those lines that extends from here to the horizon with people who knew him well or who knew him only briefly, who wanted to go and have a chance to offer condolences to his family, to share stories. And they were from PC, the students. They were administrators, they were teachers, they were nurses, they were doctors. There were families of other young kids who were sick. And on and on. And I think about this, thinking about the tragedy and the sadness of Ty Cobb's funeral. I think of John Montanaro. Again, this study in contrast. Ty Cobb, the life where you get everything that you want, yet the result is a deep unhappiness, which leaves the individual at the end saying, if I could do it again, I'd do things different. Versus the one who would have every reason to complain, and if ever there were a reason to curse God, surely he had it. And yet he was one of the happiest people I ever had the good fortune to know. And I can stand here before you and suggest that here is a guy who had life figured out. Here is a guy who knew how to win at life and actually did. I had the good fortune to know him. I had the good fortune to learn from him. And I've got the honor to stand here and share with you some of those things that I learned from this unbelievable kid. In the small hope that he can teach you too. Now, one of the ways that John wins at life, and one of the ways that I think it's important for all of us to win at life, first comes with hustle. John, when he was in high school, in the midst of treatment, going in and out of chemotherapy, goes out for the soccer team at North Kingston High. Now, this is a stupid idea. First, he's not a very good soccer player. Second, this treatment is taking everything that he has within him, all of the energy. Those of you who have gone through two-a-days and summer workouts for fall sports know how difficult it is to actually get through those. Now imagine running those wind sprints with a piano on your back. Indefatigable. That's John. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Is there a reason why we shouldn't be hustling? Can we think of a reason why we're not going out and working hard and studying hard and going the extra mile and doing that which seems to be difficult, doing that which is difficult, trying it even though we know we might not succeed? Is there a reason? There are a million reasons. All of us have them. So what? How to win at life means hustle in the face of every reason to stop. Get out, run, try, persevere. It's a key component. Stopping what you're doing at the first sign of conflict, of controversy, will ultimately leave us not going anywhere or achieving anything. John is the king of hustle.